Chapter 8. I really feel stronger and more ready to achieve my goal, but can hypnosis help me with the deeper stuff I'm feeling? As we discussed previously, our brains are incredibly complex mechanisms. Not only do we have the three levels of consciousness, our conscious, our subconscious, and our superconscious, but we also have multiple factors that influence the development of each of those levels. We have concrete factors, the experiences that occur in our day-to-day existence, adapted factors, the ways that our body physically and emotionally processes those experiences, and then we have spiritual factors, how God placed our experiences in His plan for all of humanity. According to Psalm 139:16, God knew us before we were formed. He knew our path, He knew our obstacles, He knew how we were going to use our free will. The Word says that we are spiritual beings in a physical body and that our adversary is in the spiritual realm. Due to our free will, Satan's role is to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus' role is to give us an abundant life. God is fully aware of every scheme that Satan will use to rob us of the abundant life Christ has for us, to kill our faith, and to destroy our hopes and dreams. Satan intercedes in humans' lives most frequently while we are young, before our conscious mind develops the ability to examine incoming ideas critically. This ability is called the critical factor of the conscious mind and is not fully developed and operational until approximately age 11. This ability is practically non-existent when we are very young. This allows certain types of ideas to become fixed in our subconscious. Ideas presented by an authority figure, ideas that are emotionalized, ideas that are presented repetitiously, and ideas that are reinforced by multiple sources are all fixed in our subconscious. If an idea is totally new and we cannot readily find a connection in our subconscious, we often reject it. It is difficult for mature minds to accept a new idea the first time it is heard, since that critical factor is fully functional. If positive thinking or self-talk contradicts stored messages, a canceling message accompanies the new idea in our subconscious due to the critical factor. There are two types of statements that our mind accepts: programming statements and defining statements. Programming statements are ideas attributed to your current and future abilities, such as "I will not succeed." Defining statements are ideas attributed to your current and future characteristics, such as "she would be so pretty if she lost a few pounds." In our subconscious mind, statements become fixed ideas, and fixed ideas come together to form concepts. Concepts merge together to form attitudes. Attitudes about the self, the environment around us, and the ways we relate to the environment. And these attitudes create behaviors. Childhood conditioning is difficult to overcome. If there was a dominant parent, a natural conditioning would be, "I'm not going to let anyone control me." If you were not permitted to do things for yourself, the conditioning response could be to feel less powerful and less masculine. If you are not guided through processing your fears, your maturity and reactions are directly linked to others' reactions to your fears. If you were frequently a target of someone else's anger, a vivid impression was made on your creative mind, and you tend to self-reinforce what was said or done to you. Positive or negative suggestions become our early self-image, which is simply a collection of ideas and attitudes that have been internalized. We become what we believe we are. Overcoming childhood conditioning does not happen naturally. We always act, feel, and perform according to what we imagine and believe to be true about ourselves and our surroundings. When the imagination, frequently formed by childhood conditioning, and the will are in conflict, the imagination always wins. The Apostle Paul wrote, "As a child, I saw through a glass darkly. I thought as a child, I spoke as a child. As a man, I clearly see. I put aside childish things." As your perception is altered and as your awareness increases, your goal is to alter or replace childhood conditioning by identifying those ideas that were accepted in the past but are not appropriate for you in the future or in the present. The urgency is that if any area of your life you cling to feelings of helplessness, you learn to develop something called a secondary benefit. With a secondary benefit, you begin to engage in behaviors calculated to get sympathy or to get attention. Or you may engage in behaviors that are designed to punish yourself or others. In accepting a secondary benefit, you give up your true aspirations and become shut off from your inner creative intelligence that knows what to do and how to do it. Additionally, we have a finite amount of energy that is divided between mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual tasks. For example, an accountant, engineer, or computer programmer would use a far greater amount of energy towards mental tasks, dividing their remaining energy on all of the 3 other functions. On the other hand, a writer, a musician, or an artist would use a far greater amount of energy towards emotional tasks, dividing their remaining energy on all of the other 3 functions. An athlete, personal trainer, soldier, or daycare worker would use a far greater amount of energy towards physical tasks, dividing their remaining energy on all of the 3 other functions. A minister, youth counselor, or social worker would use a far greater amount of energy towards spiritual tasks, dividing their remaining energy on all of the 3 other functions. The amount of finite energy used can be interpreted in a negative way or a positive way. For example, if you encounter a new situation and you feel a fluttering in your stomach and a dampening in your palms, you can either process the situation as something that is making you nervous or as something that is making you excited. The same energy is transformed and liberated when the situation is perceived with a positive connotation. Behavior is an expression of energy and is the release of energy in a specific way in a given situation. Much of your behavior is habitual. The way you behave in any situation is the release of the energy that you have linked to that situation. You develop a habitual response to particular stimuli or triggers. Since all of your previous experiences were not positive ones, and since all of your interpretations of those experiences were not necessarily positive or correct, your critical factor can work against you. Some examples of difficult ideas to change are religious or political views, acceptance of your chronological age, stopping a habitual behavior, accepting praise, and overcoming fears. Evidence of having difficulty in changing ideas is holding on to political or religious beliefs that have become stagnant or contradictory to our belief system. Another example is spending money trying to alter our appearance or completely discounting our physical appearance altogether. Commonly, we see the rejection of new ideas as people place the power or blame on someone else or justify their behavior. The greatest deterrent to living our abundant life is living around our fears or becoming paralyzed by them. Now, in our conscious mind, Creation and adaptation are at odds. Creation is our authentic self, the result of God having the concept of us, and then spirit becoming flesh in us. Adaptation, on the other hand, is our adapted self, which is the result of our development as we learn to survive in an environment. Once an idea has been accepted by the subconscious mind, it remains until it is replaced by another idea. The companion rule to this is that the longer the idea remains, the more opposition there is to replace it with a new idea. If we wish to change our actions, we must begin by changing our thoughts. Under hypnosis, the critical factor of the conscious mind can step aside and watch as the subconscious mind continues to focus and functions easily and effortlessly. We can use hypnosis to change those fixed ideas or use them in creating new concepts. Through hypnosis, your subconscious mind can release the ideas that are no longer beneficial to you and replace them with ideas that are more aligned with the blueprint God has for you. Opposing ideas cannot be held in your subconscious at the same time without physically affecting your nervous system. Many times, these conflicting messages will result in physical ailments that are undiagnosable by medical doctors. Some doctors and psychiatrists may even say that you have psychosomatic symptoms, which are physical ailments brought on or exacerbated by mental conflicts or stress. By using hypnosis, you can identify conflicts and realign and heal your subconscious. Many times, this conflict resolution in your subconscious will resolve physical ailments that have been plaguing you. It was through recognition and realignment of my subconscious that I resolved my seizures.